Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Ink-Spilled Glimmers. Tonight's intro will be a bit short as the batteries powering this set are about to be empty, since we haven't fed the squirrels powering the set following the incident. Anyone wanting to learn about the specificity of tonight's deck tech can go look at the previous Sapphire Steel episode where we covered it. Sapphire Steel is a good control deck that we showcased against the aggro and mid-range matchup, but tonight we'll be focusing on their control matchup, specifically on the Ruby Sapphire matchup. Well, I guess that's my cue. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as I go run on a treadmill to power the studio back up. In the meantime, let's jump into the games. Here we're going to see the actual control matchup. So Sapphire Steel versus Sapphire Ruby.
It's gonna be this time around is gonna be a whole lot of nothing. We're gonna look each other in the eyes and just do a lot of card drawing, just shenanigans, not trying to kill each other's characters as much as possible.
Who can ram the most?
Oh yeah. Blue. How would I say it? A showcase of blue.
Yeah. And here in Sapphire Steel's hand, we can see the one jump ahead and the quill, and the popsicle. So basically the whole engine minus Hiram.
Yeah, I have a lot of discussion with really established control players. Is it better to just go for that really explosive start of like popsicle into one jump ahead into your 4-drop and just disregard your quill completely? And most people would agree that it is like this is such an explosive start. It's so hard to catch up to, especially when you're on the play, like our Sapphire Steel player is right now. Because we see here, he's establishing his Grammatala for next turn. If he finds a Flaversham, he's just like laughing until tomorrow.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Sapphire Ruby player, playing his quill, developing his ink, gonna run out of resources a lot faster than the Steel player with a whole new world in hand, obviously. Although probably counting on the Sapphire player refilling it to a degree.
So here we decided not to go with the Tala. We're just saying, I'm gonna ram the most with this second one jump ahead and the quill. So right now, the Steel player is very ahead on resources. Probably what we're trying to establish here is that Simba or that Lucky Dime, and then trying to whole new world.
Yeah. The Sapphire Ruby player playing How Far I'll Go, trying to ramp on their own and keep some level of card advantage at the same time.
Unbeknownst to them that there's a whole new world in the other hand.
Obviously. And then develop your brain.
So right here, it is very interesting that you have to establish one of your 7 drops to be able to just do something afterwards. You could also say you want to use a quill on the dime to advance your resources again and have that Simba. Very interesting. The Simba has a mode where you can draw 2, discard 2, which filters your hand really nicely in that spot. You see here, the Zeus immediately in the ink.
That's not the matchup where it's going to shine, that's for sure.
And we see here a display of draw 2, discard 2 for the Simba. Generally, people like using it as their 5th Tinkerbell, but here it's when both players are not doing much, it's very nice to just be able to establish a more dominant hand. We see getting rid of the
whole new world,
which is gonna give some advantage to the opponent as well. So it's not exactly what we're trying to do here.
We're considering it, apparently. Getting rid of the Smee and the whole new...
Still considering. I think it's a hard decision here. And we're getting rid of both the Inkables. So we basically just drew 2 cards to advance into our deck to dig deeper. which is not the card. Dig a little deeper.
No? Okay. Just making sure. Yeah, no. I want to know what your opinion is as the how far I'll go resolves here. You mentioned like inking the dime. Most players only play 2. Like, how much risk taking are you really doing when you're inking that dime?
Well, it's hard to say. You usually have a very very good draw engine when you're a blue X player, either steel, either ruby. So you're gonna see most of your deck. You're gonna draw a whole lot during the game. So you might very well see that second that second dime. But the thing is, you only need one really to win. Once you establish it with a strong enough board, probably a Tamatoa, this is where the game just ends.
Yeah. And here we see the Sisu coming out. Sisu's power is equal to 1 plus the size of your opponent's hand.
Which is quite small right now.
Surprising for a blue player.
Here we're deciding to establish a dime before playing the whole new world. For sure we're giving a big Sisu, but this is just offering a trade. I would say it's quite ballsy as a line of play, because you don't have much ink left to do more on this turn. I think we're
definitely a risk here, and then just activating the dime.
We're trying to press a bit more of aggression, I think, right now. If the Ruby player decides to just ram their Sisu into the Simba, well, so be it, because now we have a lot more going on in hand, a lot of new tools.
So here, Grammatala still developing on the Ruby side, still digging, establishing some level of board.
It's almost to ask if that whole new world was detrimental to the other player. That's the beauty of whole new world. You take a factual risk when playing it. You generate a lot of advantage, but sometimes you also just kind of wreck your opponent's game plan.
Although in this case we can see they discarded a brawl, which they probably didn't think much of the matchup in there. Here, activating the ice block on Simba.
Yeah. I don't really know why, because it would put him on 4. It still trades with the Sisu, but still, I can understand. Maybe 2 ice blocks could have been a good Medusa target. Generally, the blue-red decks do not run more ice blocks, yeah. So Sisu would not be a contender to just be able to banish that Simba there.
Yeah, no, probably just out of spite.
Well, that Simba is a presence on board. You have to respect it. It's gonna get digging if it can banish a few characters. It's gonna throw some damage.
Yeah, and then hard casting the second half I'll go. Probably not the hand the Ruby opponent wants to be having when you're forced to play a Grammatala and how far I'll go.
Inking another. I can understand if you saw that many brawls. Looks
not the matchup for them. I mean, it takes out a Hiram, which just so happens to come out now.
Yeah, that sequencing was really good on the steel side of things. See here, something that I love in that deck, the Bell Stranger Special in hand. With that Lucky Dime, it does a lot.
Yeah.
Quite a lot.
And now we're already approaching the 10 ink threshold.
I think we just have to activate that quill, probably play the bell to have that extra. Like I was saying, we're playing the bell, and I think we're trying to...
Oh, we're already at 10. Okay.
Yeah.
There we are.
We're recounting to be sure that everything is good, but yeah, this is an easy 5 lore burst, which is very impressive at this point in the game, especially now that we saw the red opponent getting rid of 2 of their brawls.
Yep. Keep your brawls, kids.
Yeah, it's not only for Diablo.
And here, 40 Sphere, drawing 1, preparing the field for Hiram next turn to draw an extra 2 off of it. That's a dangerous board for the red opponent for sure.
Yeah, well, you're gonna notice these kinds of boards for control decks as soon as now they're not doing a whole lot of nothing. Now they're doing a whole lot of something.
And I expect the Ruby player to, since he had a refill, have it be prepared in hand and probably just clear it all.
Yeah. If he's not doing so, maybe a Sisu that would also
True.
press
The big
some
Sisu would do that as well.
press some aggression, which we
There we
see
go.
right here. The thing is, now we have the active Lucky Dime on the steel side, so you just have to probably just establish one character after the other.
One threat at a time. Activate the time.
We see another whole new world in hand. This is a very good way to just be able to refuel and
Yeah, that
have
unpreventable lore is definitely something that is working out in favor of steel here.
we see here also a card I love in that deck. I would say it's probably the spice of the deck. I decided to build it with Aerial Sonic Warrior.
Definitely not something you see a lot of. Even Cinderella, you don't see her much anymore in Sapphire Steel.
Yeah, but like I told you, I'm a control player in every other game. I like having my silver bullets in these kinds of matchups to be able to offset in mirror matches. Mirror matches or pseudo mirrors like this.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that Ariel and that Cinderella will be quite interesting soon enough.
Here, 13 ink on the Sapphire Steel side.
Use the quill on the off file go. Playing that Ariel.
Ariel coming out.
It's gonna do a lot of work.
And then grab your sword, accompanied with the Ariel trigger to get rid of Sisu.
Yeah, this is where it really shines, because you see here we have the whole new world for next turn, where we can sing it with the Ariel and then take out something. It does a whole lot of stuff. People say it might be too slow. But you got to remember, you're on 6 ink generally by turn 4. Having this kind of pressure on turn 4 is nothing to scoff at. We see here why probably
respecting it.
we see here maybe the problem a little bit that it has only 3 strength, where the Medusa, probably Ice Block Sisu, is very can easily just take care of it, but it's still such a huge board presence. It has 8 willpower. 8 willpower is immense.
Oh yeah, the steel players are not going to get rid of that anytime soon, without their own.
Yeah, you have to have your own and what, Zeus?
Yeah, Zeus and Ariel trigger, but Ariel can sing Zeus, so you know, she can do her own combo.
That's actually why I love her, because you can take out Tamatoa quite cleanly.
And here the opponent playing Flaversham, questing a little bit,
Developing their hand.
Yeah, trying to close the gap a little bit.
Now we see dueling Flavershams. We're gonna be eating more items to draw more.
Yep, adding a Cogsworth and a Smee to the field.
This is quite a big board. So here, the steel player would force the Ruby player to have a be prepared.
Yeah, you're forcing them to play for their outs, basically.
And this is a nice one. We see here the Cinderella, the very nice challenge top 32 Cinderella.
Someone's flexing.
I mean, that's what... Can you blame me?
I'm not. Don't get me wrong.
So here we're just we're just still gaining up on lore with that lucky dime, and next turn probably we're gonna try to hardcast the A Whole New World if the Cinderella can stay on board, because then it would just be able to challenge anything on the other side very, very advantageously with that resist 2.
Yeah.
Also, we have a Cogsworth, which would bump it to what?
Resist 3.
3? That's immense. It's just unkillable at that point.
You know, dice to be prepared.
Sure, what doesn't? We don't have indestructible characters yet in the game. Imagine it.
Here, another possible. Oh, don't tell me that. I would play the heck out of that.
It would be very good in aggro strategies, depending on how you would cost it. But
And there's the be prepared,
Yeah.
cleaning up. Basically, only 2 targets on the steel side versus the 4 on the ruby side. But what targets they were?
to be fair, that Cinderella is very, very dangerous. You don't want to let the steel player just gain 6 lore every turn with that lucky dime.
Yeah, no. 6 lore plus that Hiram still able to
Draw more cards.
draw more cards, exactly. And here we see, oh, their own lucky dime coming out.
Late to the party, but still, I'd say late. Hopefully not too late.
I mean, it's 9 to 10. The card, like the hands are low, and the Tamatoa comes out.
Yeah, that was a big draw step for the steel deck. The Tamatoa is just gonna be probably able to close out the game quite quickly.
Yeah.
We're gonna regrow a popsicle,
Replay the popsicle, probably. Yeah.
showing
Just
it.
showing the opponent what was brought back.
Second lucky dime. Yeah, now,
If that Tamatoa can survive the turn, the game's pretty much over then.
yeah, it's just gonna regrow something else. Probably play the other item, activate the first dime, play the second dime, activate it, and just have infinite lore. But now we're quite susceptible to a Maleficent Dragon, to
Maleficent Dragon, a
Lady
King
Tremaine.
Undisputed, Lady Tremaine. Definitely, Ruby is not without solutions here.
Yeah, that's probably the problem when you're in top deck mode, is that you have to string a few. Oh,
Here's the dragon.
here's a dragon. You have to string a few good creatures that can press the advantage.
Oh, and here the opponent with a Tamatoa of their own.
This is
And
this is gonna be a hard one.
telling the opponent, now you answer.
Wow! Wow!
And answer they do. Wow.
Again, big draw steps here for Steel, just like ripping those Tamatoas off the top, like their life depending on them.
Really not wanting to let that matchup slip between their fingers. It's supposed to be a bad matchup for Sapphire Steel, but
Finding a Let It Go to answer the Tamatoa on the other side. Still debating if we're going with the Let It Go or if we're just trying to as quick as possible. Because again, it's only a Tamatoa. We're quilling the second dime. Now we're going for the Let It Go.
no, the whole
No,
new world
the
actually.
whole new world. Okay, interesting.
That's surprising.
Interesting. What are we hoping to do?
Oh, inking to let it go
Okay.
before.
Oh, I think we're trying to find more items to be able to close out that gap.
And here we see one popsicle. And 20.
That was so close.
Wow.
Okay, that was a great game. Those matchups are not easy. As you can see, it's kind of anybody's game at any point.
Yeah.
Probably Red has a slight advantage because they have better removal, I would say. A better targeted removal than Steel that has a lot of damage-based removal. And
Which takes a lot more resources to take out a Tamatoa or a dragon, for example.
Exactly. You have to pair stuff together. Like I said, that's why the aerial is in there to be able to have that 1-2 punch of like aerial into the Zeus and to activate the aerial to take the Tamatoa out or anything else that's quite big. So you always have to kind of assemble cards in Steel. As with Ruby, you just can slam something onto the table with those dragons. With
Yeah, because we can see here with the 2 lore from dragons, the 4 lore from Tamatoa bringing back a popsicle, for example, and giving another 5 lore. That was exactly 11. Like, Lethal was on board on the Ruby side as well. So
I think that is why the play was made as of we're just playing Whole New World aggressively to be able to find that last point that we were missing out of the Lucky Diamond. There were good odds, let's say, but still, it's a risk you take. You don't see any, like, if the card you were finding was a Fishbone Quill, that was too slow.
Yep. So as we've seen last game, even on the draw you can pull a good matchup against the Ruby Sapphire. But let's see now on the play how it turns out.
Here we see that in these matchups, as we have seen in the last game, there's not much that's gonna happen in the early game. Both decks are really reliant on really explosive starts if they want to grab the advantage early on. But what I mean by explosive start is probably going a popsicle on turn 1, 1 jump ahead on turn 2, and then on turn 3 going into a 4-drop, preferably Flaversham.
Yeah.
So this is the way to offset this play draw disparity, but it's not a make all break all. Sometimes you're just gonna do not a lot, just grind your gears slowly but steadily, and race to and I don't want to say race. I'm gonna say cruise towards the finish line.
Yeah, and in this case, the cruise is not that fast. No draw on turn 1, a Smee on turn 2. So like this is not the ideal start for a Sapphire Steel.
Yeah, you see here the Smee is not really the ideal thing you want to be doing in this spot. It's not great in the control mirror. The card is basically there for Flynn Rider in Ruby Amethyst to be able to not just give out lots and lots of lore as Ruby Sapphire does.
Yeah, and it's even being replaced right now with RG's, the Titan.
Yes, the 4-1 for 2, that quest 4-1. It's also really good at just bumping into a lot of stuff, being a really efficient 2-drop removal.
For sure. In here, both Fishbone Quills on the table, turn 3, both decks on 4, one having the Smee, the other one having the Ice Block. So the bases are there. Let's see what develops.
Yeah, I would say that the Smee right now doesn't look too bad because it kind of gives you a bit of lore early on. And now probably we're going to be able to establish a Flaversham, except if we decide otherwise. But I think it would be a wise decision, even with that quilt that is probably not gonna give you a lot of advantage since we don't have extremely good draw engines, such as Whole New World or whatnot.
And not a lot of targets for that aerial either, so
yeah,
no point in running her out early.
Yeah, we just want to keep digging here.
And here, let it go, grab your sword. Probably not the cards that are going to be relevant the fastest. Here we see the let it go going directly to the ink.
Yeah. I think the hand is kind of suboptimal right now. we have to hope that not much is gonna happen on the other side as well. If we want to keep pressing the advantage, at least we have that Grammatala that kind of can unlock us,
Yeah. And here we see the Flaversham on the other side as well.
which eats an ice block, which is way better than eating its
Popsicle.
well,
Or the quill.
The quill. That's
Yeah,
what,
yeah, yeah.
that's what I mean. The quill is a nice engine right now. I would have liked next turn to be able to put maybe that grab your sword into the inkwell, because now it's probably gonna get stuck in hand for a while.
Yeah. Luckily, you have the Grammatala, which might be able to get answer, at least make you see like 2 cards deeper. Ooh, second grab your sword there.
Yeah, that's not great. So here we're gonna see what the options are for us. I think we're gonna try and ramp here. That's my pitch.
Yep.
Yep. So we're gonna try and ramp and establish the aerial, and at some point fire the grab your sword just as a way to trigger the aerial.
Yep. And there, being the aggro player in a control matchup, but being the one who has to be aggressive to win, because it's definitely how the matchup is made right now.
Yeah, that hand is really not working well for the Sapphire Steel player.
Yeah, no. Without that quill, the 2 uninkables, not doing a lot of work. No one to sing, even, the grab your sword.
That's kind of the problem. Sometimes you can be kind of light on singers. At least this version, I think, has a few okay ones, with the aerial being really I want to say this, the main draw
Yeah.
as of playing that many songs.
And here, Flaversham eating the quill as well, but 1 turn later than on the steel side, so allowing them to find the popsicle, fueling the engine for next turn already.
Yeah, the main problem here is that it buries the Sapphire Steel player in card advantage. So we see the quill here. I think it's very tempting to play it, but it's gonna go into the ink because we want to establish the aerial, which is gonna be able to deal with the board.
Yeah, 1 grab plus the 2 inks is going to be able to at least remove some threats, even if it's... I won't even take out the Hiram, though.
Well,
Can take the Medusa.
you have to send in the Grammatala for this.
Yeah.
Like, what you hope to be doing on next turn is just like hard cast the grab, activate on probably the Medusa if it doesn't get I mean, you gotta throw the damage on the Flaversham and send the grandma
To finish it.
Yeah. Also, the aerial must get in on the action for this sequence to work, or playing double grab.
Let's see what develops here. See the ink.
Yeah, what we really don't want to be seeing here is probably, I don't know, Tamato.
And I'm guessing this is going to be a Be Prepared, yeah.
Yeah. And now it's a very, very brutal spot to be, not having anything to rebuild after the Be Prepared.
And the opponent's still ramping, still having the card advantage. That 40 sphere, digging 1 deeper.
Okay, so here we see the Tamatoa. We're a bit short on the ink to be playing it right now. I think we're going to be...
Definitely playable next turn. And still ahead on lore, so, not...
Yeah, the only thing I don't like here is we kept the 40 sphere on the board. I think we should have cracked it to give the option to regrow it with the Tamatoa and play it again if we draw into an inkable.
There's already a quill there, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Although, yeah, the opponent here getting their popsicle back with their own Tamatoa, that extra ink from the last few turns definitely paying off here.
Yeah, having had the Fishbone Quill a few more turns on the board just gave a massive, massive edge.
Inking the Brawl here, I think.
Yeah, not gonna be that useful in this spot. Okay, so Tinkerbell I don't think is like what we want to be doing right here.
Yeah, she's not Tamatoa.
We're regrowing a Fishbone Quill that
Yep.
we... I feel we want to be replaying on next turn to get rid of these grab your swords that we have in hand for a few turns. But
Definition of a dead card in the matchup.
oh, more than that, already buried. So that's the other thing, that this Tamato is going to be active. There are a lot of items in the Ruby Sapphire players.
And the dragon just shutting down the Tamatoa.
This is not looking
Giving
great.
free reign to their Tamatoa to quest because there's no rush in Sapphire Steel.
And no hard board wipe.
Yep.
Yeah, I think this kind of spells the end at this point. It's
Here, getting back the ice block, of all things.
It's gonna be very hard to come back from here. Oh, so we're getting another Tamatoa, which is interesting.
That's one thing that could help.
We're gonna hope. Because I don't think there's a universe where we want to play the Fishbone Quill a grab your sword into the Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
I think it's a very risky play.
Yeah, given how much removal the opponent have.
Yeah, the worst thing that could happen in this scenario would be just like backup dragon and
Or Be King.
oh, Be King is well. If I remember correctly, Sapphire Ruby doesn't run Be King.
Not in the usual list, but it's definitely a tool that Ruby has.
So we see here kind of I don't want to say a misplay, but it's quite late to be cracking that Fortisphere. We caught on to the line, but maybe 2 turns too late.
Yeah. Well, last turn there wasn't any ink available to do it, so.
Yeah. But I mean, there was a turn where we had a whole lot of
two
ink.
turns ago, I think.
We only played the Fortisphere. We could have just cracked it in the eventuality of finding a Tamato, which we found 2 of.
Here comes the lucky dime. So that's.
You see from the look on my face, the situation, like I remember playing these games, and I think these were my exact same reactions. Where I was just like, okay, banger on banger on banger. You cannot.
And that's what the Sapphire decks can do, either Steel or Ruby. They draw so many cards that they can go banger every time when things go well. But when you break, you can break pretty hard. That's what we're seeing here.
Yeah, for the Steel player, we have a few cards that are not looking so great right now. Okay, so I feel the whole new world probably doesn't bring us back into the game, but might be interesting enough to just consider. Though the lore count is so high on the.
Yeah, they have lethal, right? Yeah, they have lethal next turn, easily.
So we're running Tinkerbell.
Oh no, I think that's just a concession here. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There we see nothing that could be done. Trying to see if there was a line. Oh yeah, no.
Yeah. So kind of left hanging there, but this is what can happen in these matchups. We see a very, very good example of what happens when a Sapphire deck just bricks. Here we had no particular momentum, I want to say. If any of these 2 grab your swords were a whole new world at some point in the game, maybe would have done something, even though we couldn't like ink them and develop our resources. But yeah, this is a good showcase of the both ways those control matchups can go. It's really who's gonna get ahead earlier and just press the advantage.
Yep, and it's a proof that in this particular matchup, the draw play is not as important as the quality of the starting hand.
Exactly. You really want to bank on the starts, as I was referring in the beginning of the segment, where you want to go an item for 1, a 1 jump ahead into a 4 drop, and then start just amassing advantage, resources, and everything.